And in myself, I'm Harumi from Amartha. We do digital financial products for MSME. And we have today Pak Benny Joesoep, who is the Finance and Commercial Director for Tripatra Engineers and Constructors, one of the leading EPC companies in Indonesia. And I happen to hear that Pak Benny's also recently, on top of his CFO responsibilities, written a book on AI. So, Pak Benny.
Yes. Thank you, and selamat siang semua. Thank you for staying with us. I hope we won't bore you so much. Just short before the lunchtime is always a difficult challenge, yeah. Yes, I recently published this book. It's Digital Age. It's basically a book talking about how to implement digital transformations. And this book is actually based on a research and survey conducted in Indonesia among 260 companies in Indonesia. And this book is available if anybody interested to
Yes,
get
and
it.
you can also talk to Pak Benny afterwards.
Yes.
Just curious, how many people here are in finance? Show of hands? Okay, so we've got a few, and we've got some non-finance people. Okay, so, I think we want the session to be as informative as possible, and, if we have time afterwards, we can do some Q&A up. I think one of the really interesting things with Pak Benny here is he's got 20 years in the industry, and he's coming from both a practical and theoretical viewpoint. On one hand, he's done research with these 200 plus companies on how AI is being used. And on the other hand, he has extensive hands-on experience with, applying finance in a real world experience. When it comes to engineering, construction, you can't just change midway, right? But it's not like digital finance. You've got the project going, you've got lumpy cash flow in huge amounts. So what are you seeing today, Pa, in terms of using AI? Where's the opportunity? Where's the hype? What kinds of guardrails do we need to be looking at?
Yeah, maybe in contrary to the other speakers, and admire all the previous speakers earlier, I got personally a feeling that people might tend to hyperinflate the value or the role of AI. Most of the people are basically thinking that AI is just like a magic wand. It's like Harry Potter with his magic wand. And you apply AI and everything's gonna be perfect. Which, of course, from the side of the opportunity, there are a lot of opportunity which I don't need to mention. However, there are a lot of challenges how to implement and to ensure that the implementation of AI will benefit us what been expected, especially when we're talking about the cost, right? AI implementation is not cheap, and most of the people thinking that AI implementation is just an IT implementation, which is completely wrong. Again, based on my research, based on my experience implementing all the digital transformations during my years. And also a lot of risk, because I don't know how many companies and how many of you are using basically AI already, right? Especially the open platform AI, such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and everything. And there are so many risks associated to it, which we can talk later on. And hence, what I said, on the opportunity side, yes, a lot of opportunity. We can improve efficiency, productivity, do things better, but there are conditions to it. And also risks associated. So I guess this is my first impression of what I can say.
So, I want to hear more about the conditions that can make AI successful. But out of curiosity, you've surveyed over 200 companies. Have you seen any scenarios where the use of AI really, was a bad idea?
Yes, maybe just to make sure that people don't misunderstand. So when I talk about AI, I speak in more general sense and terms. It's like about digital transformation. I don't use a specific AI as a base, the research focus, but more on the digital transformation. And that exactly to answer your questions, Bu Harumi. What are the conditions? What are the variables that make some companies be successful in implementations of the digital or AI, and why are the other companies don't get the same results? And based on my study and based on my research, basically there are certain elements that we need to think about and be aware of. For example, one is the digital strategic orientations. Because as you know that people like to implement, buy a new software, buy a new programs, and then what happens is, if there is a new technology comes, and everybody wants to jump to that technology. And there's, as you know, technology evolves so rapidly, and every year you found a new technology. And how to ensure that the consistency in our digital strategy will be maintained in order to really then get or reap the benefit of what we had planned earlier. Number two, talking about digital strategy orientations. People know, new boss, new CEO will come with a new strategy, with a new IT mind or IT focus, and apply different AI. And every change of the CEO, every change of the CFO, some of you here, I'm sure also familiar with, will apply different technology. To make sure that the technology will reap the benefit, we have to make sure that this is consistent. So this is one of the element, what I can say or what I can share with you, digital strategic orientation. Second is organization readiness. We're not talking about just implement or install a software, but we don't train the people. Huh? Some people, I'm sure that in your organizations, most of the people are using Excel. The question is, how many features in Excel that they are basically using? Are they still using the same thing like what maybe when I was young 20 years ago, the same process, key in all the data one by one manually, and then try to reconcile with the other reports, right? So when you implement AI, when you implement technology, make sure that people understand and know how to use it, because we are talking about organization readiness, we're talking about people readiness. Not only the people who are using it, but also the people who are basically on the above level, because sometimes they don't understand and they're still asking, I want to see this report that I used to see in the last 20 years, for example, right? And the other one is actually the adaptability. We mentioned, some of the speakers earlier also mentioned that how the business climate changed, how the technology changed. The question is, how can the company can basically improve their capability to be dynamic, to adapt, to make sure that all the technology that they're gonna using will gonna deliver advantages in order to have, I call it digital innovations that can add to the process, that can add to the product of the respective company in order to be more competitive. So these are some elements that were my findings.
Okay, this is really deep, and I wish we had a couple hours. And I wish we could just, sit around a table and chat with the audience too, because I think people are really, feeling this. So I'm hearing it's about people, yes. And apart from AI, AI is the tool, right? Fine, tools change, as you said. But how do we equip our people and how do we equip the organization? So how do you see that happening? Because this is a broader conversation, right? It's not just the tool.
Okay.
How are you seeing that happen? What's working and what's not?
Okay, so again, based on my experience, my finding, and also from my research, when we talk about digital implementation, when we talk about AI implementations, it's a systems. It's like a robot, whatever you call it. It depends on the information that they receive, right? So if we, for example, don't get or don't supply with the right data, it's garbage in, garbage out. Simple, right? And then, how about the processes? Everyone knows here, currently, in every organizations, currently, the process are so complex, is so intercorrelated, interdependencies between one process to another process. How to define the right process? How to define the right process? How to inform the AI? How to inform the digital? That is basically the right process. What people tend to do is actually grab all the standard operating procedure, the SOP, from the shelf. The problem is nobody reads those SOP, because what happens on practice most of the times are not exactly what being written in the SOPs. So if you put the wrong data, the wrong process, then basically the AI, the technology will deliver you the wrong results. And who can really understand, who can really make sure that the company is actually supplying the right data, the right process? Is it the boss? Is it the CEO? Is it the CFO or Chief Information Officer? No, the people who are using it. So, like exactly referring to your questions, we have to make sure that the people who will then supply the data, the right process to the systems, also supplying the right ones. Hence, we have to make sure that we get their buy-in. We have to make sure that they understand what is the purpose, because most of the people are afraid of AI. Right? People are afraid of AI. They say AI gonna replace us, which is also not correct, because in the implementation of AI, I call it, there is one important element that we need and we should not neglect, is the I call it human in the loop process. So whatever process, whatever result that is basically being generated by the AI, there should be a person who analyzes whether this is correct or not. Right? So coming back to your point, yes, people are the most important one to make sure that they get the buy-in, they supply the right data, the right process, and also understand what is the benefit for them. Because at the end of the day, they are the one that's going to use it. Right? And we have to make sure that then the investment, the intention that we basically initially have will then also deliver as expected.
Great. Okay, so I'm hearing 3 takeaways. One is that, all right, you need to make sure that your data is as clean as possible and that it's the right data.
Yes.
And it works best, from what I understand, is if there's a team or people who are accountable for that data, right? So you have a clear owner. Is that right, Pa?
Yes.
Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, what I got from you, Pa, is that we have to figure out the right process. And typically that process lives in different teams, right? So how do you bring that together?
Yes, and this is also one of the risks, because what people try to do is actually get the process, the current process, and apply it with the AI, which is also not correct. Because what we should do is actually to review the process, whether the current process are the correct one, whether it is efficient enough, and if necessary, we have to change it. So don't just apply whatever process currently we have in the organizations and ask AI to do the same. It will not get us to the more productive or more better result. So process is yes, but we should examine that and make sure that this is the right process. I always take an example. If somebody, I mean, let's take an example. Apology if I offended one or the others. If somebody who is only driving bajai for the whole year of their life, right? Only driving bajai, the 3-wheeler in Jakarta, and then we give them suddenly a car, right? They might break the glass because they feel hot, right? Because the bajai, you can still get the wind, the breeze, right? In the car, it's all closed. What I'm trying to say is they should know that there is another feature, the air condition they can use instead using the old habit. Right? So again, coming back to my point earlier, we should get the buy-in from the people who are using it. And most of the time, when we define a project, when we start initiating a AI project, usually the guys who is talking is only the C's level, right? And then they're always talking with the consultants, for example, who will only listen to the C's level, and they forgot that basically in the practice, if they don't have the hand-on practice, they might overlook certain processes, certain things that matters and are important, and they just define and design a process that at the end nobody use.
So, bringing it back to our topic of, this is the AI-powered CEO, how are you seeing this in practice, Spot, within the finance function?
Oh yeah, I mean, finance is actually very interesting ones, because, I mean, if you think the evolutions of the finance from the pure, I call it finance 1.0, which is basically just recording, right? And then there is a development into finance, just preparing the report, finance 2.0, and now starting talking about how to analyze it using the right ERP. I call it finance 3.0. Now is actually the time where I call the age is finance 4.0, where basically using the AI, we can actually more do a lot of predictions. So the finance is not only the one who is sitting in the shady corner of every company, of any building, and try to scramble the numbers. I mean, the effective finance executive is actually the one who really understands what's going on the floor, on the operations level, at the frontliners, right? So they have to understand and get all this information using AI, make a prediction and better equip them to analyze and to basically understand what could be the trend going forward. And I guess this is a lot of opportunities especially in finance executive in Indonesia, where people can basically utilize all the experience also from the other countries, because with the AI, basically a lot of best practice from other organizations globally can be retrieved and can be understood, right? So the thing that some process that we used to do maybe is no longer effective, because somehow there is another organization, another company who can basically do things better. And in this competitiveness age, I guess being productive, being efficient is also one of the variables to be to survive and to win the competitions nowadays. So finance have to also take the more proactive role, not only preparing the reports, scramble the figures, and kind of thing.
You know, I remember we had quite a bunch of finance folks in the audience. I don't know if we have mics there, but does anyone have any questions for Pak Benny? Okay. I don't know if we have a mic. I apologize. Apa Bapak mau berdiri aja dan mungkin menyampaikan?
Yeah.
My bad. I should have checked first, but you know, we were so caught up chatting.
Okay, good afternoon, Ibu Harumi and Pak Benny. My name Gani from King Coil. My question is regarding the statement that you said before about AI, because I have concern about the confidentiality for the AI. If we adopt the AI, especially for the LLM like Cloud or Gemini or OpenAI, we afraid that our data using by them to train their model. What's your take on that issue, Pak?
Yes, that's exactly what I mentioned earlier also, right, about the risks and challenges in applying, because I see in many organizations people start using ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever. Cloud nowadays is becoming more and more popular. And that's exactly right, Pak. People, most of the companies tend to forget the cybersecurity, the confidentiality of the data. So data governance, AI governance is important. We should start with the AI governance in our companies. Like what kind of data, what kind of applications can be used for which type of information or which type of data. And we have to classify it. So I would suggest, this is what we are doing currently and also in my company, is basically defining the AI governance. And thinking about, because some people said, no, Pak, I'm not using a public one. I'm using an individual, the paid one, not the free one. Not the free ChatGPT, I'm using the individual. No, it doesn't change a lot. Right, because your data can still be used by the model for the training purposes, and there are still a lot of cybersecurity concerns there, right? So we have to define what kind of data, what kind of application, what kind of activities that it can be used, using what type of AI platform, right? I mean, we're talking about this: is it important? Is it secured? And if necessarily, build your off-premise, on a platform using available AI tools. You don't have to develop your own AI, but there are a lot of, I cannot mention some of the solutions here. Maybe some of the people out there you can discuss with them better. But there are a lot of AI solutions that is available, secure on your premises. So to ensure that your data will not be leaked out outside the organization. I hope that answers, but we can talk afterwards. Thank you.
So I have a red sign flashing here that says we're out of time, which I'm very sorry about because this is really interesting. Again, you can catch Pak Benny on the way out. I feel like I wish we had a few more minutes for questions.
I'll read my book.
Yes, yes. You can get a selfie with him in his book and check in his book in Gramedia. But to summarize, garbage in, garbage out, yeah, Pak?
Exactly.
So before lunch, remember that data needs to be clean. 2, this is really about people. AI is not displacing people, right, Pak? Human in the loop, you can go back and tell your bosses or your stakeholders, they still need you. Human in the loop, you heard it from Pak Benny here, survey of more than 200 companies, right? And maybe one last takeaway from you, Pak, if there's one thing that you would like to...
What basically make me feel not comfortable, imagine about the opportunities Indonesia has. In comparisons to our neighbor country, Singapore, the startup in Indonesia that basically offering AI solutions compared to the ones that being just open or recently started in Singapore is 1 to 10. Imagine, big country like us, like Indonesia, there are more companies started up in Singapore who is basically offering AI solutions. And we, Indonesia, just more and more been used to be a consumer of the AI tech solution technology. So there are a lot of opportunity, and I'm sure that Indonesia can also compete with Singapore. And I'm sure sooner or later there are more and more AI consultants there, which is basically Indonesian based. I hope it will happen. Thank you.
Fantastic, Pak Benny. Thank you everyone for staying with us.